All righty, fashion dolls, and we are back. I apologize about that. We had some technical difficulties, but let's welcome our beautiful special guest, Ro Underwood, back. Hopefully, it will allow me to add her this time. All right, ladies and gentlemen, share this live as we get into this interview with our amazing special guest, Ro Underwood. Hopefully, it will allow me to add her. I hope you guys are doing excellent today. Okay, no request. Hi, Marcos. Hey, Jay Evans. Welcome, everyone. Hi, Ro. Send a request so that I can add you. I'm seeing everybody coming in. Oh, make sure you're on your phone, Ro, so that I can add you, because if you're on your laptop, it won't allow you to join. So make sure you're on your phone. Our very special guest will be joining us in a bit, ladies and gentlemen. We're just waiting on her to get on her phone. I hope you guys are doing awesome today. Hi, Don Bond. Make sure you guys go and check out the Don Bond podcast. An amazing show. I see you guys are loving the new look. Let me give you guys a little bit of the inspiration for the hair color change. If you guys go back and you look at T-Boz in the TLC No Scrubs video, I wanted to go for something like that. That was the color that I wanted to go for, which is like that raspberry fuchsia color. And as you guys can see, it came together, executed it perfectly. So you guys know I'm always pushing the envelope when it comes to beauty. So thank you. Thank you, Don Bond. Thank you all. Thank you. Yes. Y'all like the fuchsia. Or raspberry pop, shall I say. Hey, K-Tooks. Make sure you guys go and check out the K-Took spot. All right, our very special guest is known for her roles as Miss Andrews on the Raising Kanan. I was about to say the Power Playbook. There's so many versions of it. So let's get into this interview with our very special guest, the beautiful, the talented actress, producer, director, Ro Underwood. All right.
Hello, 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 and thank you so much for having me.
You are so welcome. It is such a pleasure to have you here. Welcome to the Dollhouse.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Hello, everybody. I can't see you guys, but I know I want to send y'all lots of love.
Yes, your supporters, they're coming in. Everyone is coming in. Ladies and gentlemen, Ro Underwood. So before we get into this interview, how has 2022 been for you thus far? Because I know it's been rocky here and there with this pandemic going on and so many different things. How have you been managing through this?
Honestly, 2022 has been better. I've made a lot of changes, and those changes have been coming together. I mean, honestly, if I told you everything that's been happening for me, you'd be like, girl, you lying. And I'm not.
All right, so let's get into this interview, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so tell us how the journey for Ro Underwood began. What made you want to become an actress?
Actually, I wanted to be an actress back when I was in high school. So I did my very first play, and I had a crush on this guy. I played basketball. For most of y'all who don't know, I'm 6 feet 2 inches tall. So I had a crush on this basketball player, and I did my very first play, and he was in the audience, and my wig came off. And he laughed first, the loudest, and the hardest. And it just kind of made me feel some kind of way that I kind of just was like, you know what, I'm smart, I'll go into something else. And so it was a dream delayed. And then back when my son was in the 8th grade, we had a substitute teacher who happened to be the son-in-law to one of the Kool and the Gang members. And all the kids were acting a fool in class, but I worked at the school where he attended. So he knew he better not act a fool. Anyway, the guy ended up being a mom and invited my son because he was so well behaved and tall. He was like, hey, I want you to meet my agent. My son met the agent and signed that day, booked his next gig. So I became a momager. And the contract he signed for his agency was 5 years long. But the problem was, after the first 3 or 4 bookings, she wasn't doing any work. So I had to get my knees and get on my knees and get dirty and get my son some work. So I became the momager, and the Wire was. I was living in Baltimore. I was living in Maryland, and the Wire was there. So I was taking him and some of my students from class, and they ended up being on the last episode, the series, the one about the kids. And from there, I was like, you know what, he's good, so let me just take him on. Well, I started taking him to classes, and because he was so young, I had to go to. And I was tapped by, first it was Tasha Smith. She's like, oh, you're going to work for me. You're going to be one of my teachers. And I looked at her and I was like, oh, no, girl. Ain't nobody trying to be nobody coach. I'm trying to be on set with you. And it was at that moment that I said that I knew I wanted to act and that I was going to follow that dream no matter what happened. She turned me on to some other people. And I'll just tell you this. I've been kicked out of more acting classes than I can name. Not for lack of trying, but they just got to the point. It was like, well, girl, ain't nothing we can do with you. What you need to learn, we can't teach you. And fast forward, I just decided I wasn't gonna give up, and here I am.
Yes, as Miss, we're gonna get right into it. People know you as Miss Andrews on Raising Canine, which is the show is a phenomenon in itself. 50 Cent and all of these different shows and versions, the Power Playbook, the Ghost Play, like it's different versions of it. So let's go down because you have so many acting credits. There's The Staircase, there's Sprung, there's Inventing Anna, Power Book 3, Raising Canine. You have The Good Lord Bird, New Amsterdam, The End, The Kittypreneurs, A Place to Be, Las Vegas PC, Capello, Eden Lost.
Oh
Girl, you
man,
have a long list of credits.
I didn't even. It sounds great when you say it. I'm like, I'm just starting, but this journey has been long. I got my SAG card in 2006. I got my SAG card on the third day of being on set, and I'm gonna tell you the story. I was on the set of The Wire waiting for my son. And they came into the green room and they were like, hey, we need a hooker. I looked around and there was nobody else in the room. So I was like, well, I ain't never been one, but hey, it can't be too hard. So they gave me some stilettos and it was cold as bricks. But I walked that beat like I was really going to get paid $20 to do some business. And one of the casting directors was like, you're really tall. I think you could play a cop. And he made me a recurring cop on the Wire. So on the third day, I was a SAG must join, which in my journey was pretty early because I didn't have any credits. I didn't know anything about getting credits. So I hit a wall because I joined SAG too early. Because once I joined, I couldn't do any non-union work. Well, Baltimore dried up for work, and there was nothing there for me to do. So I started trying to go up to New York and get work. But of course, I was inexperienced. All I was a cop and a hooker with no lines. So it was really difficult to build my resume. I will say this though, I studied under some amazing people, and I will say, if you put the right people in your corner, you can make it in this industry. A lot of people will tell you it takes 10 years to break into this industry, and I will say my journey was long, but I also will say that part of that journey being long was my fault. The reason I got kicked out of so many acting classes because what they couldn't teach me was confidence. I don't care how good you are. If you don't believe when you walk in that room that you can do this job, the camera's going to pick it up. The casting director's going to pick it up. You're not going to get any further. I'll say this. I booked my first network television show beyond R&B Divas and The Wire after I took a long period of training was The Good Lord Bird. I booked The Good Lord Bird. And it was interesting because I booked The Good Lord Bird, I booked Manifest, and I booked New Amsterdam all in the same day. But New Amsterdam wanted me for a week because although my appearance on there is very short, I was in a coma. And they decided they didn't have enough time to show my patient being in a coma. So you just saw me come in with my lung collapse. But because of that week-long period, I had just left New Amsterdam, had to be on the set. I'm sorry, I had just left The Good Lord Bird and had to be on the set of New Amsterdam the next day in New York. The Good Lord Bird shot in Virginia. And so I had to boogie on up there, get there and stay there for a week. And I could not be on the set of Manifest because of the schedule. And then my bookies kind of just got a little stagnant because, of course, we had COVID. The young boy Terrell's mom, and when Rock comes to the house to cry, to help her when she's crying, but I caught COVID. So
Oh
they had
no.
to give me.
Give us a minute, ladies and gentlemen. We're buffering. Okay, I'm going to roll back so that we can continue with this interview. The conversation is good. You guys keep those questions rolling in. I'm going to add her back, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, I see a black screen. I can't see Ro. Can you guys see her, ladies and gentlemen? Do I need to start another live? Yeah, it's IG tripping on us today. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to start a new live and come back. I do not mind coming back, ladies and gentlemen. Or let me try again and see.
Can you see me now?
There we are. Better.
All right. Sorry about that. I don't know because it's getting kind of crazy over in the country. Let me see. I think you heard me say I caught COVID.
Yeah.
So I caught COVID, and so I had to test. Well, New York is funny because at the time COVID was really new, so we had to test every other day. So I made. Sorry, y'all. I'm still here. Better the phone than me. So we had to test every other day for COVID. And so what ended up happening was I test 8 times. On the 9th time, which was November the 23rd, right before Thanksgiving, I tested positive, and I was supposed to shoot on December 2nd. So they said, okay, well, you can't come on set. They had me quarantined, but they took real good care of me. I promise you, they called me every day. They asked me what I needed. They were like, do you need a hotel? They were really good to me. And then what they said was, we will bring you back. So the rule of thumb is once you catch COVID, at that time, you had to be out for 90 days because they couldn't retest
Oh,
you.
yeah.
On the 90th day, they called me and said, could you audition for this role? I booked it, and she was only supposed to show up one day. And then I did it, and they were like, hey, we need you back next time. And what I want to say about that was, it was a great experience, but I'm going to say the things that you don't like about yourself are the things that are going to get you in the room. They loved my voice. And I was like, this whole thing? Girl, you couldn't pay me to talk. But they were like, we love your voice, and it works for us. They love my acting too, but my voice was like, boo, we got you. So they brought me back, and the Power family is like family. Once you're in, they really like your work. They keep you in mind. So I have nothing but great things to say about them. And then, of course, things got stagnant. And I booked Inventing Anna, but she didn't shoot for 6 months. It's the weirdest thing. So, and when I shot her, it was January, but she didn't air till this year, last January. It didn't air till this year. And so I was kind of like, okay, is this really going to happen for me? And then my biggest thing was I wanted to break the ceiling in Atlanta. And I booked Sprung, which actually shot in Philadelphia. But if I booked Sprung, let's say, I'm going to make a date up because I don't remember. But let's say I booked Sprung July 15th. 2 weeks later, I booked the game. 2 weeks later, they wanted me on the staircase. 2 weeks, the same week, they were like, hey, we want you on Iron Mike, but my schedule conflicted. And I had already prayed and said, you know what? I want to be so good that I'm like, I'm sorry, I have a conflict and I won't be able to make it. And so I got that. And so that's kind of where it's been for me. I booked a Super Bowl commercial. You don't see me much, but guess what? Them checks are clearing. So
Hello.
You can see me if you know that I'm there, but if you're not paying attention, you don't know it's me. But I'm okay with it because that was on my bucket list. So I got that out the way. And so that being said, I'm gonna push this thing up because it looks like it wants to fall. I got it holding the thing up so the phone won't fall. So it's been really, really good. I mean, every time, that's why I said if I told you about 2022, you'd be like, girl, stop lying. And I'm just grateful. And if I can share any knowledge with anybody, y'all holla. Because if you don't surround yourself with the right people, this industry can eat you alive. And yes, it will take 10 years.
And we've got some questions from the audience as well, too.
Okay.
Liz Menez Music, who's in the New York area, shout outs to her, an amazing singer and songwriter. She wants to know, did you know you were in the right place at the right time when your acting was recognized? And we've got another question from actress Chanel Holiday. Ro, what would be your recommendations for someone that doesn't have an agent? I have credits, but not an agent.
Okay.
Uh-oh, we're buffering again, you guys. Give it a minute, you guys. It's IG trying us. The bugs is out here trying us, y'all. So give it a minute. Let me add her back. I hope you guys are enjoying the interview. Bear with us. We're having some glitches and things.
I'm trying to turn my hotspot on so I got the 5G so that it'll go faster because this hotel stuff ain't working. Okay, so I heard the question. I think the first question, no, let me let you repeat it because I heard the one saying what would be your recommendation if you don't have an agent.
Yes.
But do you want me to go in order so that I don't want anybody to feel neglected? So if you want me to do the first question first, I will.
Okay. Liz wants to know, did you know you were in the right place at the right time when your acting was recognized? And the next one was, what do I do if I do not have an acting agent?
I did. I'll honestly tell you that when I walked out of the audition, so the audition I had for New Amsterdam, I had an audition for FBI's Most Wanted that day, and I had an audition for New Amsterdam. This is all in New York, and then I had an audition for Julie Schubert at for Manifest. When I walked out of the New Amsterdam, there was another girl. I never forget her. She said she was tall. Everything about us was very similar, and I said, "Oh, watch, I booked that role." I said it out my mouth to the girl who was with me, and then the other girl who was auditioning, she had gone on somewhere, and she happened to be walking back when I was walking to my next audition, to Julie Schubert's office, and we exchanged phone numbers, and she was like, "Girl," I said, "I don't know, I just feel like I got that role," and so then I got in the car, and I said, "I'm sorry, here," I said, to the girl who was riding with me, I said, "You know what? Watch me book 2 of these roles," and I booked 2. It was that I walked into the room. So the New Amsterdam audition was funny because so I walked in the room and it was a non-speaking role at first. So it was actually ended up being a non-speaking role, period. But they were like, "Okay, so you can't breathe." So I walked in the room and I was like, she was like, "No, no, 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 do it again, but you're drowning." I said, "Oh, I know how to drown." And I leaned back and I was like, and that's how I knew, because it wasn't a thought. I knew how to drown. So it was like I didn't care. And that was that one. But I walked out and told my friend, her name was Stephanie at the time, and I said, "Watch me book 2 of these roles." And I was on my way home and I got a call from my manager who said, "Hey, Ro, are you okay with them pulling your shirt down? Because they're gonna cut my shirt open. They won't expose your breast, but it will be some chest." I was like, "Girl, for this role, they can show some breasts if they want to." I knew they wouldn't because it was CBS, but I was or NBC, I'm sorry. But I was like, "Okay, cool, no problem." But I knew I was in the right place at the right time with the good Lord brought in. I'm gonna say me hear anything about the first role that Power. It was March the 12th was the day I turned my audition in. We shut down for COVID on March the 13th.
Wow.
Here's the funny thing. They held that role, and when I got the thing that I booked it, I was like, I didn't audition for this. But I had forgotten about the audition that I turned in because we shut down the next day. So I'm saying to you, yes, I didn't know about Power, but when I walked out of David Caprelli's office in New York, and when I walked out of Julie Schubert's office, and I auditioned a lot for Julie Schubert, she was calling me and they were trying to find the right fit. I knew it, but it was different. I didn't walk in that office going, "Please like me." I walked in that office like, "This is what I got you. Either like it or you don't." And it wasn't that I was cocky, but it was more like I did the work, and this is what's going to come out. So that's my answer, and I did a good job.
Okay. And we've got some more questions. Let me see. Let me read it. See. Um, Actress Chanel Holiday says, "We also connected in TSA. I was one of your students in ATL. We exchanged numbers but lost contact. I can send my information." It's buffering, ladies and gentlemen. Give it a minute, you guys. It's always IG trying us when we're trying to get a good, a good interview.
All right. I just changed it to my hotspot because it's stronger than the hotel stuff here, so I should be pretty good.
All right.
I hope I answered that question in a way that helps the asker. As for what I would suggest for anyone who doesn't have an agent, it honestly, my journey is a little bit different, but I would suggest get you a coach who's trying to create clients and not customers. So, and I say that because when I was taking acting classes, I was supposed to pay for two people. And so I was paying for me and my son to get lessons. And I can honestly say that I never had a coach charge me for both of us. I was blessed
Wow.
along the way. And I'm talking, she'll kill me if I say it, but my coach in New York, my coach in LA, my coach who did workshops, my coach in Atlanta, all of them was like, just pay for him and you can come free. Now I will tell you, my son was better than me, but they were like, just pay for one of y'all. I even had one coach, she's world renowned, and she was like, how much can you pay? And so that to me was the epitome of, okay, I want you as a client because I know you both are going somewhere and you can call me
Yeah.
later versus someone who's trying to get you in. I had one coach and they charged every week, but if you didn't pay that week, you lose your spot. So the goal was to keep you in the class all the time. If you couldn't go on a vacation because if you didn't come or you didn't pay for that month, that spot was gone. So try to find you a coach that's more interested in you winning than them winning. If it's about the money, I'm not saying they're not there to make money, but you just got to be mindful of. One coach would tell me one thing one week and then tell me something totally different week. Get you a good coach, and then before you start looking for an agent or a manager, I'm gonna suggest that you want somebody who wants you more than you want them. And I say that because a lot of people, when they get an agent, they're like, "Oh, I got an agent." Some people will take you and put you on the shelf. You will never know that they're not submitting you because you're not getting any calls, but they got somebody else just like you that they got who's got a bigger resume than you do. Find you somebody who, when they see your work, they're excited. Now, I say get a good coach because you want somebody who's going to have showcases or who's going to have something that people can come see you because you're not going to have a reel. And everybody's going to tell you to run out there and spend $500 to $800 to get you a reel. I'm going to say this, do good work, get you a good coach, and get some auditioning. They'll give you some footage that you can get from your audition tapes that you can use. Spend your money on a good headshot. Make sure you get a makeup artist because your headshot gets into the room before you do. Honestly, I will say this. That Super Bowl commercial I booked, I didn't even audition for it. That headshot in that pink shirt, that got me that audition. That got me that role. I never even went into the room. The picture went into the room. And my resume was that I was tall, I could bowl, and that was that. So your
Um,
resume, you got to build your resume, but if you can't build that, get you a coach that's going to have some showcase and get those people in the room. Maybe they're not going to have a showcase. Maybe they're going to have some casting directors come in. Maybe they're going to have some agents. Not some agents come in. Maybe they're going to have some directors who are looking for new talent come in. But find you somebody in your city who's doing that. And if you can't find somebody, I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I want to say I want to help everybody, but what I can only help so many, and I made it a point to mentor at least 5 people a year. To mentor, and one of my mentees, he got on my nerves so bad. His name is Dejan Porter, um, and he's a recruiter in Queens now. But he'll tell you, find you somebody who's doing what you want to do, and always try to be not to be the best person in the room. If you're the best actor in the room, find your somebody.
Absolutely. And we got another question from you. Jay Evans wants to know, would you ever like a biopic? And if yes, who would you like to play?
Oh my goodness. Well, the person I want to play has already been taken. Um, and it would have been Michelle Obama. But honestly,
Ooh.
yeah, I wanted to play her. But hats off to Viola. She earned it. She deserves it, and I can't wait to see it. Um, she would have been my number one person to play. And honestly, if I did a biopic, you're gonna be ready for this. The person I want to play is not famous. I would love to play my grandmother.
Mm.
Oh, y'all about to make me tear up. Um, because a woman with a third grade education produced so many great things, and she went through a lot. And I think her story mirrors other stories and deserves to be told. Um, I think we're getting to a point where our stories are finally being told. And so we can look at television and say, ooh, I can relate to that. When a lot of times the shows that we can relate to, we can only relate to them on a certain level of where we are now. But our past dictates our future in the way, like, when I'm telling my stories, I got to tap into my history. So who better for me to tell the story and honor her life? So when I go on stage, when I go on set, my goal, I'm a better actor than I've been in the past, is to honor the stories of the people I'm talking about. I want to do justice to their lives. So if it makes you angry, then good, I did my job. If it makes you hate me that day, then I did my job. If it makes you love me, cry, then I did my job. Because someone walked in those shoes, and it would be disrespectful for me not to tell the story and honor their lives.
And I'm gonna go a little bit deeper here. This is girl talk. We're both black women,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm gonna ask you a question because Monique said this when she did her interview with T.S. Madison. She mentioned some great women. She mentioned Ruby Dee. She mentioned uh, Hattie McDaniel, who was the first black woman to win an Academy Award. She
Mm-hmm.
said these women literally had to crawl so that the next generation can walk. With everything that's going on with women, why is it that it's taking all of this that's going on behind the scenes for our stories as black women to be told? And I wanted to know your perspective on that.
I think, honestly, I think that people can no longer say it's just one incident of anything. I mean, it's a sad situation, but everything happened the way that it happened for a reason. Not that I'm endorsing it, but if people had been sitting at home during the pandemic, Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, Sandra
Yes.
Bland, they could have easily said, oh, that's just one thing. But you were sitting there with nothing to do and forced to reconcile with the fact that, hey, this is happening to black men. And we've thrown black women's stories under the bus for so long that if it's happening to the men, and these are the women who are the backbone of those men, and we always wonder why they always so angry. Wonder what's going on there. So now people are starting to see that, hey, wait a minute. If she's angry, find out why. If she's always on guard, find out why. If if she's acting out, find out why. My godchild is he's a special needs child, and so he doesn't like to use his toothbrush, and so I was there, and one day, every day I noticed he was brushing his teeth, and he was always screaming before they picked the toothbrush up, and I said something's not right. And they were like, no, he just don't like to use his toothbrush. I said, let's look at some toothbrushes. Well, come to find out, they were brushing his teeth with an electric toothbrush. And as long as you didn't turn it on, he was fine. But the minute you turned that toothbrush on, it aggravated his teeth. So as long as no one was able to pay attention and see that there was something wrong, it was okay for them. And that's what the world is starting to figure out. You know, we sitting here, we trying to say, oh, they just angry. Oh, they just this. Oh, they just that. We disgruntled. We're not. We have a story to tell. And the moment you recognize that there's some things going on that you don't see because we wear it well, you will allow us to tell our stories. And I'll say this, the networks, once they realize all the trauma that the black community was experiencing, they start looking for black content. They had shows that had been pitched to them years ago that they start picking up. And now all of a sudden, people are starting to say, wait a minute, that looks like my household. There's a show on television. It's the Miss Pat show. They cussing. They doing all the things. The mama talking to them all kind of sideways ways. And the network didn't want that show. But we watching it because guess what? That's how we grew up. It's normal in our house. Not to say it's the norm now, but it was in that generation. We're doing better, but that story still has to be told.
Absolutely. And it's sad to say this, Ro, but Monique also said this as well too. It's sad that it takes a black woman passing away for someone to finally tell her story. And
Mm-hmm.
she also mentioned Eartha Kitt, the women that have been through things in Hollywood, from Dorothy Dandridge to Ruby Dee to Hattie McDaniel. These women who crawled so that the other up and coming next generation of actors and actresses could basically walk. The Keke Palmers, the Taraji P. Hensons, the
Mm-hmm.
Denzel Washingtons, the next generation, and so forth and so on. It's so sad that it's still going on in Hollywood. But now you're seeing the likes of Shonda Rhimes and Ava DuVernay and Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, who did your show. It's we're seeing more and more black directors come to the centerfold, and it hasn't been just happening now. It's been there. It's just they turned a blind eye to it. They don't want to pay attention to it because they know that we're going to be bringing in the content. We're going to be consuming this, and more people are going to be watching it.
I don't remember. I think it was Jamie Lee Curtis. And at the height of them talking about women not being able to make what men make in this industry, she got on stage during the SAG Awards, and she spoke about two words, making sure that those two words, and I can't remember them offhand, but making sure that those two words were in contracts when you're the main character, when you're the bigger character. And those would mean that they have to have a diversity. They have to have women of color. They have to, and it's been people reaching up and saying, hey, I want somebody in this story. I want somebody in this. I need somebody of color. I need somebody who's this. Honestly, if I'm being real honest with you, I honestly didn't think I could do this. Not because for lack of talent. I had a coach tell me that I was too tall, that I would never ever be able to make the pension. I would never ever be able, so that I should go FICOR, which means I would leave the union. And he was talking to me and another actor. And the other actor decided to go FICOR, but I refused. I said, I paid too much money to join this union to pay for the rights that they have, and I'm not going FICOR. And he had me look up all of the actors who I could play next to. And it wasn't a lot because remember, I'm 6'2" and I wear heels. Loving it. And so he said that because of that, I could never play any of the roles that I was going after. And I said to him, no, sir. I'm going to do all that. What I had to do was figure out who I was in the industry, what my brand was, and what I brought to the table. So being this tall, I'm never going to play the weak woman. I'm always going to play up against men because my stature is one of power. My demeanor, when I walk, I had a manager, she always was like, can you make it more angry? I said, have you seen me? And she was like, I need you to put some power, some anger behind the voice. I said, I'm going to need you to look at me again. Because when I walk in the room, attention is going to be paid. And I don't have to yell to get my attention, to get my point across. So we kind of butt heads with that. But I think it was a matter of owning who I am and understanding that there's a place in this industry for everyone. I didn't like my nose. I didn't like my voice. I didn't like my height, my big feet. I didn't like none of that. Guess what? Those are the things that get me in the room.
And they typecast, another thing, Rose, that they typecast women of color. They typecast black actors, black actresses as well, too. And the one that I can think of is Leslie Jones. Leslie Jones is like, I'm more than just the loudmouth best friend. I'm so much more than that. I want to play something serious as well, too. And Marlon Wayans is another one as well, too. He's like, well, okay, comedy, I want to expand outside of comedy. I want to do drama. And you see him on drama series as well, too. And to add on to your point about women not making more, women make 82 cents for every dollar that a man makes.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys know that? It's men men are making more and women are making less. So that's the gender pay gap. Jamie Lee Curtis was not lying about that at all.
But so many people, they weren't speaking up. Like, we just, I came from education. So I'm used to, they tell me what my salary is going to be and we don't go in and negotiate. And so now at a point, I'm like, hold up. You know what? When I come through the door, I need to know what this is going to take. So it took me a while. I think I've earned the right to say, okay, this is what I expect. I'm still going to stay on the scale, but I've moved up. But I think the women in this industry, they're starting to realize that we are our sisters' keepers. We have to look out. I don't have competition. I don't. A friend of mine was trying to get me to join her manager, and her manager said, oh, she's a conflict. And she was upset about it. And I said, boo. I said, thank you, manager. I said, because if she feels we're a conflict, I would prefer she tell me that than to put me on her roster. I said, I don't have competition. There's only one me. So I don't care how much we look alike, how much we sound alike, how much we built alike. You can't bring the experiences I brought to the table. So we started to realize that, hey, we have to be cognizant of this isn't just about me. When I lived in Atlanta, I felt like there was a crab in the bucket mentality. I had friends who would get auditions and they were like, well, I can't tell her. I was like, you know what? I'm going to help you with that audition because my blessings don't come from me competing with you. My blessings come from making sure you get through the door. Because when I get through the door, I'm going to be like, oh, we need somebody for that role. Let me call my friend. Let me call this girl who I've been with for a minute. I know she can do this because it's all about networking. And when we get to a point where we start understanding that when you win, I win, that's when we all win. As long as it feel like, well, if you win, I can't win, it's going to be a problem. Because when they write a check and they got row on it, you can't cash it. And vice versa. So I'm
okay,
just, go ahead, I'm sorry. I put a
we
cough
got a
up.
question from Liz. She wants to know, when do you think is the right time to reinvent yourself?
Oh my goodness. You know what? Honestly, people keep saying, I want to wait till I lose weight. I want to wait till I do this. I want to wait till I do that. Honestly, you'll know. I'm going to say this. I worked a job that I promise you that most people feel like it's a cakewalk. And I'm 6'2", I was walking with a cane, back bent over, PTSD, all kind of things. And when I realized that what I was doing was killing me, I said, I can either stay here and die, or I can flourish somewhere else. You will know. Everything will be on the table. You'll start seeing it like, okay, I can't do this. My friends would tell me my voice changed when I got to my job. My son would say, don't talk to her for an entire hour when she gets home. Let her watch Judge Judy so she can be, a furry, a cuddlier person. So little things, you'll know when it's time to reinvent yourself. But I'm going to say this. Don't wait to do anything. So if you think, I'm going to wait until I get rid of this hair growing out my chin. I'm going to wait till I lose 10 pounds. There's a role for you today. With the chin hair, they can pluck that. To lose 10 pounds, that 10 pounds they're going to need. People gain weight for roles. Don't wait thinking I gotta do this. I got to fit into this. They are looking for unique people every day. And what you're going to do is try to wipe out that uniqueness because you don't like it and walk yourself right out of role.
Take the time for it. And we got some more questions. Actress Chanel Holiday wants to know, Ro, can you mentor me? We connected in TSA and exchanged information, but we lost contact. You were teaching when we last spoke, and she says that she can send her information.
Can you send me that on Instagram? Because I'm going to look at you. Forgive me because I don't do names well. But in two things, most of the people that I have mentored have been through TSA, which I find funny. But yes, I can mentor you. I only have 2 spots because I am on set until the end of July.
And she says, what is your ritual that helps you in daily life or before preparing for a role?
I do positive talk. Like, I literally talk to myself in a positive way. I also listen to positive things only because I have suffered from anxiety and depression. And so I realize that a lot of times that can get in the way. So I have to wake up in the morning and tell myself I'm beautiful, not in a cocky way, but like I say, good morning, beautiful. All right, today's going to be a good day. Because if I don't, I can sink back into a dark place and I don't have time for that. I was an English teacher for 20 some odd years and I couldn't read. If you gave me a script, I couldn't read it. That's how bad it got. So it got to a point where I knew in the morning I listened to positive music. I like the religious mixes that they do now. I'm not heavily religious, but I do believe in God. But I do those things. Anything that lifts me up in a positive. I believe I change my vibration daily. I change my vibration. So I believe that you charge the energy that's inside and you move with that. So if you have an audition that's giving you nervous about it, that's nervous energy, baby. Use that. Use that. So if your character was about to go for a job, wouldn't you be nervous? Oh, I got to get this job. But you got to give yourself a reason why. Oh, I got to get this job. Oh, because they are about to repossess my car. And I got my kids to get to school. Now that energy becomes, oh, I got to get this job. Yeah, that's me. Absolutely. Now my energy doesn't come across like, please, yes. Yeah, that's me. Absolutely. I want to change the energy in the room. So of course, I try
Yes.
to vibrate on higher energy. You can pray, you can meditate. I ain't one for meditating. That sitting still quiet stuff ain't for me because I got a radio playing in my head at all times. But so that's why I choose to get a song in my head and let it be my song of the day.
Oh, goodness. Y'all are rolling in with the questions. Tony Green, 57, wants to know how funny you are. So hard to believe you were down. I always think of you as light. And Liz wants to know, what is your me time?
Oh my goodness, my me time. So my family's really, really small. So of course when I have me time, I try to call my son, um, talk to his dog, which he named Ro. Um, and then when I do me time, I'm a girly girl, but I'm not a girly girl. So occasionally I'll go get a massage, I'll go sit in a float spa. But then there are times that I want to go, and well, I ain't done it in a while because my back was jacked up. But I used to like rock climbing, laser tag, and then I want to do things that I can use. Like I want to shoot a bow and arrow. I want to start skating again. I bought some skates, but I can skate, but I can't stop, which means I really can't skate because I got to find somebody or a wall. So I want to get back into those things just so that I can find my happy place. And that is just a place that makes me smile. I'm smiling more this year than I've smiled in the past 10 years.
All right, take that time for yourself. Let me make sure I didn't miss any questions. Ladies and gentlemen, Stevie Nor wants to know, since the pandemic hit, do you find that agents, managers, and casting directors require talent to be based in major markets or in order to submit for projects in major markets?
So with this, I'm going to tell you to do your homework. And the reason I say that is because a lot of the agencies want you to be like New York is saying local hire only.
Uh-huh.
So that by me living in Maryland, it was hard for me because I could do local hire, but you got to drive back and forth. That's a 3-hour drive. They got tolls. So do your homework. If you're looking at the Atlanta market, you need to find out which agents allow you not to live in Atlanta. They don't mind, but you got to be a local hire. They don't mind you being somewhere else, but you got to be a local hire. Or you can find another agency that they do a handshake deal. Like I have an agent and she works all across the nation. I don't have a contract with her, but she literally gets work and she'll say, okay, I don't want to conflict with this agent or that agent. So I'm gonna look at all the markets that you don't have an agent in. And if I get something from her, I haven't really been doing much lately as far as auditioning, but try to do your homework. I know in Atlanta, I can't think of it off the top of my head. I want to say it's Janet Van Dyke, but I could be wrong. There are about 3 agencies that don't care if you're not local. In New York, but you have to be a local hire. In New York, there's a lot of agencies in New York, and I do not know them all, but I know about 4 that don't require you to be local. The problem with that is that you must be a local hire once you book the gig.
Oh.
So if you're saying you're going to be a local hire, I'm gonna be real with you. When I booked Power, I didn't live in New York. So I had to either drive back and forth for all those COVID tests that I failed. I drove back and forth every time, or you catch the bus or whatever you have to do. And those tolls are $75 round trip. You still got gas in your car. Then if you book a recur, you got to stay. You got to get you a place to stay. So you got to be liquid. You got to be able to do all of that, or you got to know somebody. So if you're going to say you're a local hire, then be a local hire. If you're not going to be a local hire, if you can't do that, or you don't have the funds to get back and forth, hold off on that. If you're doing the Atlanta market, your resume and your work has to be impeccable if you cannot be a local hire, because they're not going to pay to transport you to those places. So you got to be mindful of agents and let them know. A lot of people want to lie and say I'm a local hire, but what are you going to do when they say, okay, you're local, you said you're local, I put you on my agency, and I need you to be
Uh-huh.
at this audition tomorrow. So if you ain't got no rapid rewards points or nothing that you can cash in and get a last minute flight, you know you can do Spirit of Frontier, but you know they ain't always on time. You really got to think about your plan if you're going to be doing that. Honestly, my manager was like, hey, we want to keep you on, and I was all for it. But I can't do any more New York local hires. That if you're doing a day player role, which pays about $1,056, but you got to drive back and forth to a city that's $75, and you got to drive there 6 times before you get it. Then you got to turn around and be there that day, and then they may cut late, and you got to get a hotel. By the time you get your check, pay your agent or your manager, they commission after they get their commission before taxes. So after taxes, you gonna pay them their commission. So let's say it's $1,000. You was gonna make 800. You gotta give your agent 15%, and you gotta give your manager 10%. You done made 500, but you spent 700 for hotels and gas and tolls. If you're not liquid, don't tell that lie, because it's gonna come back and hurt you. If you can do it and you say, okay, I'll do this job for the credit because you tried to build your resume, fine. But if you tell that agent that you're going to be a local hire, you need to make sure you tell them that when you can't be, because they're going to keep submitting you as if you live there. And you got to be able to jump up and go like that.
All right. Remember that. And Liz wants to know, has a role ever impacted you so much that it resurfaces on different times in your life?
Oh, wow. Let me think. Honestly, it hasn't come out yet. But Sprung. Sprung is it's a comedy, and it's a pilot. And I play a prisoner. So it's funny to me that you mentioned that, because in my younger days, I had to get locked up for a day to cool off. And it reminded me of the girl who was in there with me. We just thought we was like, I was really young. We just thought we was sleeping over. I'm doing her makeup, and we having a good time. We using crayons and all kind of stuff. Like we had sleep over. Not like we and Juvie just doing the most. We just doing it. And so that was the closest I've ever come. Now I have had other roles that you will never see because they were independent, but that really, really took me to places that I didn't think I was gonna go. And that's why I said if I had to do a biopic, I would choose someone who's had a rich life, because they lived that life and survived it, and they have offspring that are flourishing right now. So I think to tell that story so that people can see that no matter what your beginnings are, you can still prosper and do good things. I think that's why I said I would do my grandmother and maybe somebody else's grandmother, as long as there was a story to tell.
All right. There you go. All right, Fashion Dolls, it is time for our games with our girl, Ro. The first one is going to be called the Rapid Five. And Ro, she has to tell us 5 things that she can't live without. The next one is going to be called Her Thoughts. I'm going to drop the names of a few famous ladies, and you give me one word that describes that actress. All right. So we're going to start off with the Rapid Five. What are 5 things that Ro can't live without?
Sleep. I don't know if I should say the second one. It's X-rated. So sleep, the second one, my own transportation, my own place to stay, and a phone call from my son.
All right. That's 5. That's 5. All right. And we got 2 more questions before we get to her thoughts. What is a time in your life you would gladly relive, and why? And is directing and producing in your future?
Directing is not in my future. And it's funny you asked that, because I had a director ask me the other day that I want to direct. I don't see it right now. I'm never going to say never. But I do have plans to produce one day. I've got a couple of stories written down. And when the opportunity presents itself for me to present them and pitch them, I will. But right now, my job is somewhere else. And a time that I would gladly relive. Ooh. Meaning a period of my life or just a small window?
Liz, are you asking a period of her life or just a small window?
Well, I'll just give you both just so we can satisfy that.
Oh.
A time that I would gladly go back and relive would be before my grandmother passed. As you can see, I'm a grandma's girl. So I was raised with a lot of boys. There's only 2 girls in my family growing up. Now we have more, but they were living other places. And so the time that I spent with my grandmother, if I could go back and live those days over again, I would. Learning how to cook, even though she wouldn't let me go off the porch, stuff like that. Just what I miss about those days. If I could relive those days, I would do some things different and keep a lot of things the same. a small period in my life. Um, Honestly, I think I would like to, the period I would go back and relive are the years that I didn't get a chance to take my son to play basketball. He wanted to play basketball, and I, being a basketball person, I failed him in that. I was too busy doing other things. So the formative years where he really could have gotten what he needed, I didn't kind of have the energy or the time to do what he needed to do. And in my own defense, my brother passed away. And so he
I'm
had other kids,
sorry.
and I was raising those kids and his kids. So if I could go back in time and do some things differently with both of them, with all of, my brother had 5 kids. We had 7, but 5 were the ones that I was dealing with. And then I would go back and do some things then. So those are 2 periods I would gladly go back and live again if I could.
All right. There you have it, Fashion Dolls. It is time to get into her thoughts. So in this game segment, we're going to name some famous actresses, and you give me one word that describes each actress. Okay, so we're going to start off with Angela Bassett.
Oh, fierce.
All right. The next one is Kerry Washington.
Interesting.
Okay. Viola Davis.
Amazing.
All right. Mary J. Blige.
Evolving.
All right. And last but certainly not least, Roe Underwood.
Undeniable.
All right. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. That is her thoughts. These are some famous ladies that we dropped in this interview to give the perspective of other actors on other actors. So networking and doing it too. I hope you guys enjoyed this interview. But before we close out, I'm going to allow Ro, because her energy is everything. She's so amazing. I feel like I was talking to a girlfriend that I haven't seen in years. So it was
Thank you.
definitely needed. So my last question for you is, what advice would you give to young Black girls that are watching both of us here on this platform that look up to us? What advice would you give to young Black women who want to become an actress?
My advice to you would be go for it. Honestly, if someone had told me that this was a career and that it could be lucrative and that it could bring you joy, I would have believed it. But in my generation, the goal was to grow up, get a job, get married, have kids. I did all that and still wasn't happy. Do you live your life so that you don't have regrets? And if you want to be an actor, like I said, find you someone who's doing what you want to do. There's space for you. There's room for you. Hopefully, I'll be able to open up my LLC and my 501c3 and come to your neighborhood and give free acting lessons and just let you live up under me. I have a couple of things I want to work on for actors of all ages, but my heart and my soul is with the children, with the youth of tomorrow, because I, when my friends and family see me doing this, they can't believe it because it was never something I voiced. Voice it. Put it out there. Put it in the universe. It'll come back to you. Believe it. It will come back to you. As long as you're weary, it's going to stick around the corners. But as long as you believe you can do it and you go for it, put your energy, wherever you focus your energy, that's where things are going to go. Put the work in.
Absolutely.
Put the dream on. Put the dream out there. Put the work in and go for it.
And manifestation, to add on to what Roche just said, is manifestation. I'm a firm believer in manifestation. Whatever you put out there in the universe, put it to work. If you have a goal or a dream or something, put it on paper. If this is something that you want to do, you make sure you go ahead and invest in that. If you want to go to acting or become an actor, invest. And that was something that my mom told me along the way as well too, when I wanted to get into doing this platform, is that you have to invest. If this is something that you want to do all the way, you make sure you invest and you plan ahead. Get yourself this long-term goal and complete it.
There's so much room for everybody out there. If you are, and don't let nobody tell you you're too old, you're too short, you're too fat, you're too this. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. There's a place for you out there, and go get yours.
Absolutely. And we got one more question for you from Liz. She wants to know, what is your power word and why?
Wow. I don't think I have a word. I think I have a phrase, and that's "you got this." I'm always telling myself, "You got this." You got this. And ever since I've embraced that, I've had it. So it's you got this. There's a power in knowing that it's going to be. So just that's why when I get to the point where I'm like, oh my goodness, I just think to myself, you got this. I can remember a time when I didn't have it, when I didn't use that catchphrase, and I fuels you and use it every day. It's your gas, it's your energy. And watch what happens.
And y'all remember that. Remember that. Stay encouraged. And is there any projects you want to plug? Let everyone know where they can follow you and check you out at.
I don't have anything coming out. Well, actually, I don't. The Staircase, my release date, I think, is May 26th. I play D.A. Klein. And then Sprung does not have a release date. And like I said, I haven't been doing anything lately for several reasons. But I'm looking forward to picking things back up and being on set again soon. Just living my best life and having girls look at me and be like, "Ooh, I can see myself doing that." Or, okay, she tall, she this, she that. I can, if she can do it, I can do it.
All right, Fashion Dolls, there you have it. Our very special guest, Ro Underwood. Make sure you guys please go and follow her. And please go and check out Raising K9. You guys can go and stream it. Definitely go and check it out. Check out the other projects that she's mentioned as well, too. Definitely please go and check that out. Ro, it was such a pleasure having you here.
It was a pleasure to be here. And I want to say thank you because, trying to get this organized for me was a bit hectic, but you made it happen. So I thank you, my sister. I do. I really appreciate you.
You're welcome, girl, anytime. And you're welcome to come back to the Dollhouse anytime.
When I have my next project, and I have some things I want to share that I can't share right now because of my NDA, but when I do get ready to release it, I'll definitely reach out to you so we can kind of talk about those things. I'll be able to give you some inside scoop on a couple of things that I'm working on.
All right. All right. And everybody saying congratulations, bro. Yes, y'all, please go and follow this queen here. Please go and check her out and support Black women. We're all about supporting Black entertainers, Black creatives here on this platform. And thank you guys all for tuning in and giving us a great interview. It was such an amazing interview. And I would love to speak with you again in the future.
Thank you. It would be my pleasure to be here. Thank you guys, everyone. Much love, peace. And if you need me, inbox me. I ain't on social media that much, so please don't think I'm ignoring you. I'm slow. But I will get back to you. But you got to remind me you saw me here because sometimes I'll be like, who this?
Y'all, you heard her. All right, Fashion Dolls. Thank you all so much for tuning into Style by Stevie. Wednesday, we have one of the sexiest vampires ever, Juan Rydinger, who is an actor and director, will be joining us. So y'all, please tune in for that. That is Wednesday. No show tomorrow, and I will see you guys Wednesday. Take care, everyone, and y'all be safe. And again, stay encouraged. Like Rose said, it's safe.
Take care.
Follow your dreams. Take care. Talk to you later, girl.
All right, we'll do. Bye-bye. My